The mindset of the late, the mindset of the late replier. Why people answer messages weeks later. We've all been there. You send a text, friendly, urgent, or somewhere in between, and then silence. Not just for a few hours, but for days, then weeks. You wonder, did they see it? Are they upset? Did I say something wrong? Just as you've nearly forgotten, your phone finally lights up with their reply, often casual and seamless, as if no time has passed at all. The late replier is a modern social phenomenon, often misunderstood and labelled as rude, indifferent, or flaky. But beneath the surface lies a complex and fascinating psychological landscape that speaks volumes about anxiety, perception, time, and the unique pressures of digital communication. Let's explore the mindset of someone who replies weeks later. At the heart of late replying often lies a powerful, counterintuitive force: anxiety, not apathy. For many, a message isn't just a simple ping. It's a task loaded with cognitive and emotional weight. Opening a message can trigger an immediate pressure to craft a perfect response: thoughtful, witty, adequate. This perceived demand can create a mental bottleneck. The thought process is not, "I'll ignore this," but rather, "I need to be in the right headspace to do this justice." However, that right headspace doesn't arrive. The message gets mentally flagged as requires high energy, and as daily stresses pile up, responding becomes increasingly daunting. The longer it sits, the heavier its psychological weight grows. A small, unanswered task morphs into a looming monument of social debt, making the act of replying feel even more burdensome. This is the anxious perfectionist archetype. They care so much about the quality of the connection that they paralyze themselves into maintaining it poorly. Closely related is the concept of cognitive overload and digital fatigue. In an era of constant connectivity, our messaging apps are bottomless pits of social obligation. For some, especially introverts or highly sensitive people, each notification is a micro-demand on their emotional and mental resources. Replying requires shifting context, tapping into social energy, and offering a piece of one's attention. When one's bandwidth is depleted by work, life stresses, or simply the sheer volume of interactions, the brain goes into a form of communication triage. Urgent, logistical messages, like, "What's the meeting room number?" get answered. The nuanced, open-ended, or socially rich messages, "How are you really?" or "I'd love to catch up," get deferred. The intention to reply is genuine, but the energy to do so meaningfully is perpetually scarce. The deferred message slips off the immediate radar, lost in a sea of other deferred intentions, only resurfacing when a rare moment of calm and capacity arises, which could be weeks later. Another key element is a fundamentally different perception of time and communication medium. For the late replier, asynchronous communication, like text or email, is often seen exactly as it was originally intended, not as a live conversation, but as a letter. There is no inherent expectation of immediacy. In their mental model, they have the right to respond when it is convenient and when they have something substantive to contribute. The pause is not a signal of disinterest. It is simply the natural pace of the exchange. This can clash dramatically with the replier's perception, for whom the same medium might feel like a continuous, real-time thread. The late replier often fails to recognize the silent social anxiety their delay can cause because, in their mind, the connection is still on, just paused. Their eventual reply, lacking apology or explanation, underscores this mindset. They are simply picking up the thread where it left off, unaware that the other person may have felt the thread was severed. There is also a subset of late repliers who operate on a principle of prioritization by inner world focus. Their attention is directed intensely inward or toward their immediate physical environment and projects. External digital inputs are interruptions to a deep flow state. They engage with the digital world in batches, on their own schedule. When they finally do a message cleanse, they respond to everyone in one sitting, from a place of control. This behavior is less about anxiety and more about a deliberate, sometimes rigid, guarding of their cognitive space and attention. It is a form of boundary setting, albeit one that is often uncommunicated and can feel inconsiderate to those on the receiving end. So, what is the impact, and how should we interpret it? The late reply is rarely a personal verdict. It is far more likely a mirror of the sender's own internal state, their overwhelm, their protective boundaries, their relationship with time, and their social energy reserves. It is a behavior amplified by the digital age, which provides constant access but not constant capacity. If you are on the receiving end, try to reinterpret the silence. It is almost certainly not about you. You can send a gentle, low-pressure nudge. No worries if you're swamped, just checking in on my last message when you have a moment. This removes the perceived demand for a perfect response and can often unlock a reply. If you are the late replier, understand the social scripts at play. A simple, "Sorry for the slow reply, it's been a season," or "Thanks for your patience," can bridge the perceptual gap and reassure the sender of your regard. It acknowledges the shared norm of timeliness while excusing your departure from it. Ultimately, the weeks late message is a tiny crack, revealing the immense pressure of modern social maintenance. It reminds us that behind every glowing notification is a human mind with finite energy, battling its own priorities, anxieties, and unique rhythms. The reply, when it finally comes, is not a sign of neglect, but a testament to a mind that, despite the chaos, still circled back to connect, on its own time, in its own way. It is an imperfect, deeply human attempt to reach across the digital void, carrying with it all the beautiful, burdensome complexity of how we manage our attention and our relationships in a world that never stops asking for it.